Okay. So we waited a couple of minutes. Let's start. So let me start with sharing start with sharing Google Chrome. Yeah. So what was the task? Again, just in a few words. So we needed to find the token duplicates, which is some kind of, I guess, an attack. So some other people creating new tokens exactly like this one, if this one is expected to be good, I think. This is probably the case, but I'm not 100% sure. I didn't research this, but we see a lot of duplicating tokens, and some of them are quite big, like more than 50 instances of the same token. And yeah, so the idea was try to find these like duplicates and find a way how to find an original one. And one of the participants very quickly catched that there are sometimes that we have with the same created at time, we have additional maybe few tokens with like in the same second, they were launched in the same second. And we need some additional information to find which one would be the first one. And I said that maybe we can use the like more like just more information like block number and even the transaction number inside the block, because for some tokens we have duplicates even inside one block. Yeah, this is something possible on Solana, or alternatively, I'm not sure, maybe it is actually the same developer launching multiple tokens at the same time. It might be also another possibility. Again, I didn't research this specific thing, but I know for sure that there are some tokens with the same name and they were minted in the same block. Okay. It was so I didn't expect this. So technically, it's a little bit challenging to add this part to find which one from the same second, which virtual tokens were the first one. So if someone did this, I said that it would be bonus points. And actually, the one person managed to add the data about the block number, but unfortunately not the index inside the block, but it's still a much better result in the sense of it still can catch few of this, I guess. So I just mean that in this case, for some tokens, we can know the original one, but for in some cases, we still can't. But it's just, it's a big step because just using the first table, we are very limited with which one is the this token Solana fungible token. And yeah, so let me show the simple solution, the one which would just consider the seconds, but not the block slot and the block number, I mean. So basically, it's we are trying to find all the tokens with the same name. So there is a partitioning by the name and symbol. And also for the, we want to find the first one in the sense of the one which allows creation time. And so this was like, I guess, the main idea behind this simple approach. So just the partition by the name, lowercase, of course, as as asked in the task, and keeping the row number as just in order to then filter by the first row number. So we guarantee that the first row number is the one with the lowest created at time. Even if there are multiple lines with the same created at, this would be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I also saw another solution that used, instead of partitioning, used aggregation. It should work. I mean, I tried to run it. It's running okay. It's giving around the same results. If I add additional sorting to differentiate between these first created at with the same time and seconds, it's just giving the same result. So it looks good. But the idea, basically, the simple solution is this. So you need to use partitioning or aggregation in order to find the token which was the first one, and also find the total count and like all that was asked. It's pretty straightforward. And
I'm sorry, but I think I don't fully understand how partition works here.
Can you maybe
Can you briefly explain what
okay,
to make?
So I'm not I need not consider myself an SQL expert, but to my understanding, partition is working like this. So it's grouping the records in these buckets, which are inside the partition by. So whenever it have the same bucket with the same name, lower name, and lower symbol, so the one which we consider duplicate, in this moment, in like it's grouping this. So if the row is in the same group, it's adding this in this like it's calculating the statistics. So for example, here it's calculating the count, here it's calculating the row number, and here it's also considering the order. So the row number means here that we are for all the records with the same name and symbol, we are sorting them by created at, and then given the row number is just the in this group what is the number of the row with this record. Basically, it's like this, and the final table will have all the numbers. So like here, the partitioning by, it's not excluding any records. It's just aggregating. And for example, the count would be exactly the same for all the rows in this partition. I think this.
And how they different from the group by in this case? Of course, I see that you cannot use group by in this place.
Yeah, so the group by is very similar in sense of it's also grouping by these buckets, but the partitioning by it's able to produce one row for each original row. And the group by, it's just calculating an aggregated result. So here we will have like, for example, 5 rows. All of them will have this total count 5. They have row number from 1 to 5. And all of them would have the same minimum first created at and last created at, because they're like aggregations. But these are 5 rows, which is important. Like, because then we can, so it's more or less aggregation, but you can, for example, select only the second row from each group. And this is legitimate case for some queries, right? So this is like a little bit more flexible than group by. But basically, you should achieve about the same with the group by and aggregation function, which is like something like arg minimum, arg maximum could give you this. And from what I remember, one of the participants actually did this with group by, this simple way to solve this task. But the interesting thing here is that we actually can use this to our advantage. For example, we know that we have few rows with the same created at time, right? And we know to differentiate only from them. We don't need to consider all the tokens, right? We just need to consider this, maybe 3, 5 tokens, which are created at the same time. What we can do here, we can, in this solution, we can, for example, say that we are interested in last created ad. Oh, no, I mean the first created ad. First created ad equals to created ad. Instead of selecting the first row number, we select all the rows with the lowest, it's lowest creation time. So the first ones to create it. We can't know which one is the first, the original one, but we know that all of them are candidates, right? And we need to add additional information to find which one was the first. But this like guarantees that all of these tokens we actually looking for, they are inside these few rows. And in most cases, it's just one row. Yeah, so if you are trying to like move forward from this query, I will just show how the final result would look like. But basically, it's the same query inside and some additions. So here we see the same query, the first occurrences, and you see it's basically the same partitioning, exactly the same. But then we add in the earliest block, and you see here that this is exactly the condition. So we are only looking for the first block and index, transaction index, only for the transactions that are first in this duplicate groups. So that might be like 3, 5 duplicates with the same created at time. It is minimal, and then we are okay. Yeah. So and here again we're using this partition by to find the first block slot and transaction index inside these few different transactions, creating this duplicate tokens. So it is a little bit heavy, and I didn't plan for this, but I think it's an interesting, I guess, exercise to actually make it work. And for me to make it work relatively fast, I also needed to limit because the transaction table is very big. So we need to somehow limit these transactions. And I needed to know that the last transaction here, you see, is so it's just 1 week. So even for all these 40 duplicates, all the transactions are inside the 1 week. So it means we don't need to join with all the Solana transaction table. We just need to join with the last week, and this is enough. And this, of course, it make it much lighter. And I think it's something that maybe it's a little bit cheating, but if you just need to get the result, you can use it, and you can actually make it work for a general case for any day. You just need to be careful to to find this minimal day for the transactions you're looking for, and to use this subset because it's very efficient. This transaction table have index by the block time, so just not considering all the transactions that are not in this time range. Yeah, so basically that's it. So this was the idea that maybe was missing, but I know that at least one person who managed to join information about the block slot, but he did it another way. So not with the transactions table, with the block table, and I think transfer table. It's more tricky. I guess it's in some sense it's better solution. So without these hacks with the limits of the time window for transactions, but it's also not joining the transaction ID, which also helps to find the original one. So okay, a little bit lost here, but I guess just the most important. So you can see this solution. So I put it on the Victory task page. So you can try to play with it, maybe to make it work for some other time range. I'm not sure. So, but I'm just saying that it's. I think it's an interesting task to look at how many duplicates and to find this original one, because I didn't find this similar information. I think it might be interesting to look in this data. So yeah, that's it. Now I will move to the scores. So there were 4 solutions, and to my pleasure, the 3 of them were before the soft deadline. So they were submitted before Saturday night, and one of them weren't, but it's still a nice. I mean, it's still a good solution. It's still working. So I'm glad, and all the solutions they are correct in the sense of it's finding original up to the second, but one of the solution it also used the block number, which is of course the what was this bonus points for, and of course it has more points because of this. Okay, I think if you're one of the participants, you're probably looking at this video, and I hope you're happy with the result. And I would like to, if you want to discuss, just you write in the Victory Discord channel, and like maybe we can discuss a little bit more on this. So maybe Benjamin, do you have any questions, maybe comments?
No, everything clear. Thank you. I like that you published the solutions on the Notion page. I'll check them later.
Okay.
That's a great learning material.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear this. So let's move on then to the week 4 competition. I guess the challenge, task, you can name it anyway. So it's another thing I wanted to play with for some time to find the rug pull transactions. So I tried to minimize the scope and make it easier, but it's still a little bit heavy because the Dune doesn't have data stored conveniently. For example, this task it's much easier to do if you have all the swaps, but not only amount of swapped, but also the state of the liquidity pool before the transaction and after the transaction. And Dune table doesn't, this DEX Solana trades, it doesn't have that. And but of course, Solana transactions have all the data, but it's not easy to work with. So it's almost never, you almost never can understand where actually the account you're looking for. So you will need some of creativity, maybe to find another data source. But also for this specific task, I wanted to do some experiment. So instead of grading the solutions on the just correct or not correct, I decided that I'll ask you to submit the transaction IDs, and for these transactions, I will just measure how many you detect it correctly. And so for each transaction you submit, if it's a correct one, if it's really a rug pull according to this definition, you will get like more score. If you submit in transaction that are not in this set of the rug pull transactions, you will get less score. And if you're submitting not all of the transactions, but still part of them, you still get in some of the score. So that's basically the formula is look like this. And I think it's very easy definition. If you see this, the images. So basically these two sets are one is the transactions you submitted, and another is like a golden set of transactions which are considered correctly, which I found myself, and I hope I did it right. But if someone would show that I maybe missed something, I of course I will redo it and maybe adjust the scores based on this information. So yeah, let me go through the definition. So what we consider rug pull. First of all, before this transaction, we want to be 100% sure that the initial liquidity was at least one sol. This is because we don't really care about the very small pools which are probably already were rugged, and like there are not much liquidity there. And one sol it's like around $100 right now. So usually the tokens which are traded, if they have less than one sol, they are already dead. So there's not much going on. And the second rule, if the liquidity during this transaction is dropping at least 10 times, of course, this is arbitrary. So it might be, so I may say it here 5 times or 20 times, but just I guess that it's not important. It's important for result, but it's not important technically. So for example, if you want to continue to work with this topic and just research a little bit what transactions have, what other transactions you will select if you add some transactions that drop only 5 times or maybe 2 times, it's still maybe some kind of rug pull or not. But for this 10 times, so basically you're taking most of the liquidity from the pool, it's 100% rug pull. So we will work with this definition for this specific challenge. And we're also not including the tokens which are traded not on the pump fund, but on the Radium, on pump swap, which are like, it's when the token is getting more liquidity, like around 100 sol, it's graduating. So there is special mechanic which like closing the swap, taking liquidity out and creating a new liquidity pool on bigger liquidity pools. Before that it was Radium, now it's pump swap. But basically it's just for bigger tokens, the liquidity pool with lower fees. I'm not sure if anything, like if it's really important, but for this again, for this challenge, we want this task to be easier. So I wanted to limit it for just to one specific case of pump fund swaps, which is just easier to work with. Of course, in real life, we also want to see the rug pulls for these tokens, also for these that are graduated. It would be interesting, but it's just another task. You need, maybe it's a little bit different approach. Again, for this task, I wanted to limit the time range because in real life, you always, first of all, you can always do multiple queries and to work with this data. So just one day of the transactions, you need to find all of them that are rug pulls. So in real life, you can do multiple queries or do bigger queries with more budget, computing budget. I think it's for the challenges, it's better to do small, relatively small. Yeah, and just for you to understand, so the order of magnitude, how many transactions you will get, it's thousands. So it's not tens this time. It's not 100, it's thousands. So this time it would be, I guess, important to get some way to do export of CSVs. And I will provide this way. So I will share this team subscription, which you can use to export your results. Yeah, so how would your result look like? It should be just a CSV file or text file with the first row is the signature. It's the name of the column, one column, and the rest are just transactions. Basically it. You will have here probably a few thousand transactions here. Yeah, so if you work with Dune, you probably should look for these tables, but maybe you will find some better sources, and I hope that you will find it, because otherwise it's a harder task and you may not get all the transactions, so you will have lower score also. So you will need a little bit creativity here. So I also go through the formula before. So yeah, there is one tricky part. Maybe not one, but there are some transactions that have few swaps inside this transaction. And in this case, like for example, if there are few different swaps that in total give you this condition, so in total they are dropping the liquidity 10 times, it means that it's still qualified. So it's still a good transaction. It's still a rug pull in our definition. So it may make it easier for your solution, make it a little bit harder, but you just need to understand that there are not many of them, but there are some. So it's, just to consider. So even without those, you should get a pretty high score. Yeah. The rest is exactly the same as it was before. The solutions that are sent before Saturday night, they are getting bonus points. The solutions that are sent on Sunday, they not getting this bonus points. That's basically for you to make it easier to start early. Maybe Benjamin, do you have some questions about this task?
No, I don't have the questions right now, but it's. I like that you are experimenting with different ways to calculate scores for the solutions.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
This time I will try to use the Kaggle platform for this. So you will actually can submit the CSV file and get your score right now, like in a matter of seconds, which I think it's a good thing. So it may help you to iterate faster, I hope.
Yeah, that's a huge improvement. I really missed the way to validate my solutions in the previous weeks, especially in the first two, when you think that you have valid results, but then you realize that you forgot some special case or special kinds of transactions. Having the ability to validate or to prove your solutions, it really helps you to debug and dive deeper in the system.
I agree. Actually, I would like to move to a more, first of all, because I like the instant feedback that could help you to get instant feedback. And of course, this also could help me to check the submissions, because right now I need to go through and to double check, even if the result is not 100% correct. It might be something insignificant, then I would just consider not important enough to lower the score, or to lower it just a little bit. So if the idea is right, I would probably just consider it mostly full solution. And now it's a little bit different game, but I hope you will like it. So no matter how, you need to find this, and it might be interesting.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So again, yeah, one thing for did I get right that there are no other questions about the task? Okay, so in this case, just wanted to say that I want to propose a task for the next time. It will be a little bit different, because there would be a big hackathon, which name Redacted, for Solana, and I want to propose one task which would combine this analytical task and maybe a little bit to a direction of machine learning, a little bit bigger thing, but I will still present it at Wednesday. But so it would be part of the bigger hackathon, but the vibe would be the same. So the most important part would be to do some analytical stuff and in order to get results. So, but the task may be a little bit bigger, but the prizes would be bigger as well. So I think it's fair. Yeah. Yes, it's some announcement for the next time. So yeah, I don't remember anything else. I will contact the people who made submissions this time, same way again, and yeah, I guess that's it. And
awesome. Let's get back to work. I'm sorry now. I have to run.
Yes,
because I have another meeting coming in.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this introduction and for the presentation of the next challenge. See you next week.
See you.